the conference last week on the 20th anniversary of the founding of the. I would hope that I think that it was very interesting.
Organized situation.
Okay, so much
So we can set it this way, then we have.
Może z tamtej strony staniemy? Ale ja nie znam.
But, right, you play.
A ty grasz?
Surata, thank you very much. This marks the 20th year of the reestablishment of the independence de facto of the three Baltic countries. And I think we've come a long way. As obviously we've come a long way, but in our cooperation, I think we're moving on to a new phase, in which we actually have to make strong financial contributions to make Baltic cooperation work. Because in the past we didn't have money. Now we have money, and we realize that joint projects, in cooperation in various areas, to make our lives better, to make our citizens' lives better, requires a different kind of work than in the past. It doesn't come from singing, it comes from a different kind of work. And certainly, I think it is clear to all of us, should be clear to everyone, all our citizens as well, that without common efforts, without working together, we will not succeed in the way that we want to succeed. So the issues we discussed today, or these 2 days, are far more concrete perhaps than in past, because we've gotten to the stage where the issues are far more specific. So we discussed, among other things, we just finished discussing, for example, together with the Transport Commissioner, Siim Kallas, our transport infrastructure between Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, in particular the opportunities offered by the Commission to develop in the Trans-European Network, or TEN system, good, necessary, and vital transport connections between our countries. This is an area of, I can't stress enough of how important it is that if you look at a map of Europe, if you look at a map of the transport connections in Europe, then the map still looks like the old East-West divide, because you have the western half of Europe, so-called old Europe, is well connected. Eastern Europe, so-called new Europe in the European Union, is not. And clearly it is one of our priorities to be better connected. We of course discussed a number of other issues that are key right now, the issue the continuing of air policing in NATO and the requirements there, including commitment to defense expenditures in this time of economic difficulties. You discussed the issue of a common electrical market and the very key issue to that, the import of electricity from third-party countries. Well, I don't know. I think I've talked enough. I think other people can fill in. My colleagues can fill in on these issues. But of course, as dominates all discussions everywhere, we talked about the European financial crisis. But here, I think I've already spoken enough. We can answer questions later and pass the floor to President Bērziņš, please.
Thank you. Practically, we discussed very different aspects of Baltic states' security. Military mentioned before. I personally visited for 2 days in Afghanistan and got personal feelings and opinion about future development there. Then, in terms of future development, particularly for rural development for Latvia and for whole Baltics, and there we are working together, having already joint efforts. This is so important common agricultural policy for Baltic states, particularly so-called hectares payments. And I understood that there we have a complete agreement in this field, and we will act together to succeed by being together. This is a very, very important topic. We had a very open and honest discussion about financial situation in Europe, and I still personally believe that there we have enough solutions to be successful without great damages for Europe's system as a whole, and particularly for Eurozone. For Latvia, being pegged to Euro, this Euro zone development is more important than real members of Eurozone. Actually, Eurozone consists not from 17 countries, but from 21. 17 plus 4 countries where country's currency is pegged to Euro. About energetic future and energetic security, there are matters where it's necessary to analyze deeper, but in the same time, no doubt that there is our future is to have only common projects as minimum for Baltic states. Thank you.
Okay, I just try to explain how many blocks we have been discussing. The first probably relates to the Baltic Country Cooperation, its annual meeting, which is chaired by Estonia this year. Next year, Lithuania is taking the lead, and also the lead on NB6 and NB8 cooperation in this framework, which we will organize a large meeting next year in spring. And I want to thank, of course, Estonian side for organizing this meeting today and yesterday, where we were able to coordinate our policies concerning in the Baltic Sea region cooperation, and second block, European cooperation area, where we are facing a lot of challenges, including economic downfall again, or next phase of possible recession, the euro crisis, the situation which is affecting our economies, and of course the future preparation for negotiations in financial framework, including all possible interconnections and infrastructural projects, including Rail Baltica, and also we enjoyed today the presentation of Estonian Commissioner Mr. Kallas. And third block, it is our military security and preparation for our Chicago meeting for next year, or NATO meeting, which is very much important for all Baltic region. And of course, the fourth element of today, we are very thankful for Polish president to be able to join us, because all these questions, European, NATO, are directly related with our neighbors. And all these four blocks have been in deep discussion yesterday and today. Thank you.
President Komorowski.
Chciałem wszystkim bardzo serdecznie podziękować.
Thank you very much for inviting me to the meeting of three Baltic presidents. It is an important meeting from the perspective of not just the policy of the region, but also the future progress in the process of the European integration. It is also important from the perspective of good neighborly relations between our countries. What brings us together is not only our history, but also our membership in both NATO and the European Union. We all would like us to be brought together more and more, also by good business that is very beneficial for all the countries involved. To what has already been said here, I would like to add that from the Polish perspective, it is really very important to see the success of projects which are so important for the Baltic states in terms of the infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, but also in terms of the solutions which are important for the energy sector in this region and energy security. Poland is now building our energy sector in such a way that we are getting largely our energy security guaranteed, but we are very interested in having the connections of infrastructural character, which could also open other countries of this region to the possibility of using the transmission system of the electrical energy as well as gas. So we are very glad that energy connections at the Polish-Lithuanian border, which are financed largely by the European Union, will become a fact. The projects in the area of transportation infrastructure are important. The situation is a little bit different in Poland and in the Baltic states. In the Baltic states, new rail lines are to be built. Poland is facing a problem of the necessity to upgrade the rail lines which already exist and which are being used, but we are very much interested in the success of the entire project. We are ourselves already upgrading the fragments of the lines in the territory of Poland to the west of Warsaw, and now we are also getting ready to the upgrade of the fragments of the rail lines which can make up this very important communication transportation line for the Baltic states that would go as far as Estonia. I would like to stress once again the community of interest, and now it must be about the joint application for making sure that in the future financial perspective of the European Union for the period 2014-2020, guaranteed the necessary resources to cover the financing of this ambitious but also quite costly undertaking. We count here on cooperation and joint effort to be made together with all the Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Poland is not a member of the Eurozone, but we intend to join the Eurozone, and we count on it becoming healthier and stronger. That is why undoubtedly my talks with the president of Estonia is a member of the Eurozone, but also Lithuania and Latvia, which are in the system of connections, bringing these countries closer to joining the Eurozone. But this is also very important for us from the perspective of having a close look and collecting experiences, how it works, especially under the circumstances of crisis. And that's it. Thank you.